Well, welcome. I'm going to make a number of videos aimed at people who've done about a year of classical Greek and who would like to start reading some Greek tragedy but perhaps need a little bit of help. And so I'm going to go through the Prologos of the Iphigeneia, who is among the Taurians, Iphigeneia he and Tauris. The purpose of this is simply to take you through line by line, word by word, explaining how the poetry works and looking at some of the grammar and some of the forms. This is not designed to replace a commentary or anything, it's just to help you to go through and to read a little bit of Greek tragedy. And I'm going to record the entire Prologos. Now, Euripides' extant plays begin, some debate about several of them, but they generally begin with a prologos, a prologue, where one character comes on stage and sets the scene for the play and sets the context for the play. And in this case we have Iphigenia herself, the subject of the play, comes out at the beginning and delivers the following speech. So she begins, Pelops tantaleos es pisan molon. So Pelops, the Tantalian, literally. Greek often takes the names of people and turns them into adjectives. So this is the son of Tantalus, but the Greek does it as Pelops the Tantalian, the son of Tantalus. Molon is from the verb blosko. And the aorist of this one is emelon. So the stem of emelon is mol, and it's turned into a strong aorist participle here. So this is one of the many verbs that are coming and going in Greek. So blosko, molumai, emelon, men bloka. You should learn the principal parts of that verb. It's very common in Greek drama, and it's common also in Homer. So Pelops, the son of Tantalus, having come into Pisa, Game, historic present, he marries the Korain, the daughter of Oenomaus, and we get an instrumental dative here. So this is Thoas, which means fast or swift, and it's feminine, so these are the feminine horses, so they're the mares. By means of his swift mares, he marries the daughter of Oenomaus. Ex haes, from whom Atreus eblasten sprang. So this is just the verb of springing forth, of being descended from. So from whom Atreus sprang or was born, descended. I'm going to do a slightly variant reading here. In place of depais, I'm going to read dapa, which is in the Apparatus Criticus, which is in most modern editions now. And the subject of this is in the next line. So Menelaus and Agamemnon understand descended, or perhaps sprang, Atreus, from Atreus. So from Atreus there was Menelaus and Agamemnon. Two, of him, of that man, it's referring to Agamemnon. So ego ephun, this is from Phuo, so I was born from that man, from Agamemnon. So from him I was born, I who am Iphigenia, so she tells the audience who she is early in the piece. Iphigenia, the child, Pais, of the Tyndarean daughter. And so as we saw with Tantalaeus, they're taking, she's the daughter of Tyndareus, and they're turning that into an adjective, of the Tyndarean daughter. And this, of course, refers to Clytemnestra. So of him I was born, the Iphigenia, the child of the daughter of Tyndareus. Now the next bit is quite tricky. You've got a relative pronoun hein referring back to Iphigenia, and it's the object of this verb down here, esvaxen, and the subject of this is over here, which is pater, and the rest of it's a little bit mixed up and you've got to put it together carefully. So I'll just do it literally. So whom around the eddies, there's the swirling waters, around the eddies, which Euripides thama often helisone participle swirling with frequent gusts of wind, strephe turns or perhaps stirs up the deep blue sea. Huls is actually salt, but huls is often used to refer to the sea. But this is a third declension adjective. It's coming from huls, which is the word for salt, but often used of the sea. So whom my father esvaxen slaughtered, Huneka for Heneka on account of Helen. That's a common form you'll see in epic as well. On account of Helen, hos doce, or something like perhaps so he thought, or so perhaps it's impersonal, as it was thought. Probably better to take it with pater, so he thought. So he slaughtered for Helen's sake, so he thought, to Artemis in the Klainas Ptoukaisi, in the famous Ptoukais in here, the inlets of Aulis. So we often get plural for singular in Greek poetry, so there's only the inlet here. So in the famous inlet of Aulis. So just to put that bit together again more quickly, so Iphigeneia, whom around the eddies, which Euripides often, whirling with frequent gusts of wind, stirs up the deep blue sea, whom my father slaughtered for Helen's sake, so he thought, to Artemis in the famous inlets of Aulis. Entauthgar, day, now the day is important, nice particle here, so for indeed, next line, Lord Agamemnon, Sun Agag, from Sun Ago, gathered together there an Hellenikon Stolon, a Greek expedition of 1,000 ships. Now, Agamemnon's the subject now of a number of participles. We get thelone, pherone, tunkanon down here. So he's the subject of these participles. So Agamemnon wishing Labain from lambano, this is the aorist infinitive, to take literally the beautiful victoried garland. So wishing to take the glorious crown of victory from Ilium, so this is one of the many uses of the genitive here, take from Ilium for the Achaeans. So to take for the Achaeans the glorious crown of victory from Ilium. Now we get a the here, which is this te, and this thelone has got two sections to it, so he wants to do this and something else. So the is te, the epsilon's dropped before the vowel, and the aspirate there has aspirated the tor into a theta. So watch out for these little tors, they're important, these little thetas here. So wishing to do that, and wishing to met elthane, this is infinitive after thelone. Met elthane, it's a little bit like it's from met erchomai, it's a bit like our expression to go after someone. So it means to avenge or to visit punishment upon or to get revenge for. So he was wishing to get revenge for literally the insulted marriages of Helen. So this is a aorist passive participle here from hybrisdo. So we might translate it as for Helen's outraged marriage. So wishing to get revenge for Helen's outraged marriage, literally the outraged marriages of Helen, plural for singular. Pharaoh Karin's an idiomatic expression, I do a favour to. So doing a favour to Menelaus. Now we get another participle again, all these participles agreeing with Agamemnon. So Agamemnon tunkano, so meeting with, this is an abstract noun, a ployer, a lack of sailing. So meeting with a strange lack of sailing, a strange inability to sail, and meeting with winds, where we don't know whether this means contrary winds going the opposite direction to where they wanted them to go, or whether it's lack of winds, there was no wind at all. Well, it's not clear from the context, generally taken as contrary winds, I think. So meeting with a strange inability to sail and contrary winds, he came as emperor unto divination by fire. So we might say he turned to divination by fire. Kailege Calchas tardi. And Calchas says the following things. Now Calchas, of course, is the famous seer. He's the one that Agamemnon rails against in the Iliad. He says Calchas never has anything good to say to me. But anyway, he is their seer and he has to listen to what he says. And so in the next recording, we'll find out exactly what Calchas has to say.